I've been thinking about this trope a lot lately. The first time I saw it was here with Sif back in 2011, but since then I've been seeing it pop up more and more frequently. I've seen it in Pokemon, the Castlevania show, Tales of Vesperia, other FromSoft games, and so on. The wolf with the sword in its mouth. It's a cool concept, but there's not a lot of information out there for it. The best I found was a thread on Sci-Fi Stack Exchange, where they thought the concept originated from foo dogs. I don't know if I buy that. I kept thinking about it though, so I decided to get it out of my head. I started with 3 of these Free Folk Wolf Skin Changer minis from the Song of Ice and Fire skirmish game. I picked them up along with a couple other minis you'll see from Troll Horde Games. They have a lot of these Game of Thrones minis for relatively cheap. I've actually had these guys for quite some time now. You can see I started work on one of them. That was actually way before I decided to make a YouTube channel. First thing was first though, I had to remove their bases. These Game of Thrones minis have these 2 little tabs on the bottom, and most of the time if you clip them off, you can kind of wiggle the mini free and save the base for later. With these guys, it wasn't happening. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to get as involved as last time, but oh well. I kind of botched the first one a little bit, but it ended up not being that noticeable. The second one came apart much cleaner. After finally getting their bases off, I had to put some bases on. I've been trying to get into a lot of skirmish games, but I'm a D&D player primarily. So I like my bases to follow D&D size categories. I have a bunch of these 1-inch 3D printed bases, just kinda handy. Just need a couple dots of super glue. Well, for real this time. A dot or 2 later. They're ready for the next step. I'd gotten 3 other figures from the same site, also from the same Game of Thrones game. Cutting off their weapons was pretty straightforward. I also cut off anything I thought would be useful for other builds. Once I cut off all the relevant bits, I needed to plan out exactly how I was going to attach them. I really liked this sword, but the hilt was a little too thin, and I'd need to replace it. The axes I thought were fine. The mace, on the other hand, was a lot thinner than I thought it was going to be. I'd have to find something else to use instead. For now, though, I started with the sword. I cut off the hilt, then drilled and pinned it. These paper clips make really great pins. Just strip the little nylon coating and you're good to go. Once the sword was ready, I drilled a hole in the side of the wolf's mouth. I carefully wedged the sword in place to test fit it, see if it needed more trimming. After cutting off a bit more around the hilt, and cutting the rest of the pin to size, I superglued it in place. I dug through my bits box and I found this dagger from a Stormcast Eternals kit. I thought the hilt would be exactly what I needed. After I'd found it, I drilled a hole in it and superglued it in place on the other side of the sword. And that was the first wolf done. The axe was pretty straightforward. I just had to cut off the haft where it met the hand. Just as I did with the sword, I drilled holes in the upper and lower haft. Drilled a hole in the wolf's mouth. Pinned the upper haft. Glued it in place. And attached the lower haft. To replace the mace, I dug into this Frostgrave Barbarians kit. One of the weapon options is this hammer that I thought would be perfect. Because of where the hand was holding it, I thought it'd be easier to remove the head of the hammer and find a replacement haft. For that, I used another Stormcast bit, this hammer. Third verse, same as the first. With that, the kitbashing part was complete. The next step was to apply some basing texture. I used the same method as last video, the one ripped off from Anders Talks Hobbies. Sealed it in with some isopropyl alcohol and watered down PVA. I then primed them black with a rattle can. And using some white ink through an airbrush, I gave them a zenithal highlight. I'm still not great at painting, so I tried to keep their colors simple. I mostly used transparent pro acryl mixed with contrast medium. For the first one, I tried to give it a reddish-brown coat. The second one got some dark gray fur. For the third one, though, I broke out some secret sauce. I've been experimenting with something recently, and I plan to do a video on it when I get the recipe down pat. For now, though, it makes for some really nice dark blue fur that the camera seems to be reading as dark purple. The ground got a very simple wash of brown ink and floor polish, stolen again from Geek Gaming Scenics. I wanted to make the weapons look kind of magical, and I'm still practicing painting magic and glow effects, but as I've said, I'm not too confident in my painting skills just yet. So, failing that, I resorted to just tinting some metallics with inks I had. Thankfully, glowing eyes are a little easier. Just a dot of white and a filter. The red one got some yellow ink. Tesseract Glow for the Grey Wolf. And some Hexwraith Flame for the Blue Dog. And finally, they were done. Overall, I'm mostly satisfied with how they came out. I think the gray one's my favorite. It looks the most like what I had in my head. The paint job could be a lot better. I tried to give the other two a sort of gradient, and I think I should have just left them alone. The blue one in particular. I'm glad I ran with this idea though. It's a fun concept, and while the project was pretty straightforward, I think there's some interesting places you could take it. If that sounds like something you want to see, leave a like and stay tuned. I got a lot more projects lined up for the future. That's it for this one though. Stay safe, and have a good rest of your day.